1, and we are live and in effect. It's your boy Guapodamus at the top of the world, and it's Friday, so you know we live down here at Ikon.
Let's go.
And you know what it is. Look, we got two special guests up in here today. One's not really a special guest, but he's very special in here because we already keep it down in the good-looking game. We got my man Jerry and a special guest, my man Furman.
Let's
go. What's up, man? Look, hey, listen, we're going right into it, y'all. Listen, thank you guys for being out here on this Friday. Last weekend, man, Boxing Day of the year. It was boxing and holiday for everybody.
Was there a big fight last weekend?
What?
Like 40 plus million viewers or something like that?
Tough weekend for me. Tough weekend for me last weekend.
It was a tough weekend for a lot of pocketbooks.
Look, every weekend that's full of boxing is a great weekend. So even though it was tough to maybe take some of the fights, it's all right. It was still great fights happening and a great show happening. So I was happy with it, man.
Yes, sir. We had a clear stream too.
Hey,
the stream was nice.
Right into it.
Yeah, there was no there was no buffering from that Netflix stream, so I'm glad Netflix was ready for it. The numbers came out and they did good. It wasn't great. I thought it was going to be astronomically like out of the atmosphere type of ratings, but it was solid ratings. Again to the fight, nobody predicted it quite like it was gonna come out that way. Like the final result was the final result.
Predicted it. Let's say it like
that. No, some did. Some did actually. Some picked him, but they didn't.
A select handful did predict it that way. Not very many predicted it that way.
Like that one-sided.
Like it was gonna be another boxing lesson, right? I mean, I know that everybody knew that Crawford was gonna come and do Crawford, type of things, but. At that weight, he just didn't think he was going to carry it like that for a full 12. So yes, reaction Friday. I had Canelo winning. I was dead wrong. If anything, Canelo didn't look good at the weight. Like Mr. LP said last week, he had to make weight. He had to make weight. Crawford had
today too, man.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of people that need to eat crow. Yeah, and so hopefully they acknowledge Terrence Crawford for what he is. He is now the 3-division undisputed.
History. Listen, I think that Terrence could actually take his belt now and has a claim for being number 1 pound for pound in the world right now.
Well, the Ring Magazine agrees with you. Yeah, they bumped him all the way up to 1. When you fight another, top 10, I guess it's mandated, but Crawford could have been anywhere from 2 or 3 on everybody's list. But one thing we do got to acknowledge on this program, though, is that there's been a lot of talk about no other multi-division champions currently in the game, and the thing is, what's being overlooked is the women's division. Yeah. And of course, you got to give a shout out to Clarissa Shields and Amanda Serrano because they have multiple division championships and multiple division undisputed. As far as Clarissa Shields, so they're not acknowledging that on the main platforms, but we're going to acknowledge it here on the 4luvofboxing. But back to the main event last weekend is Canelo lost all the belts, but did he really lose though? I mean, the man's not losing in life. He's
150 million is what I believe he pulled in.
And despite not at all. I mean, and then of course whether he wins or loses. All the conspiracy theories come out.
Oh, bro.
Whether he wins or loses. That's what happens when you're on the top of the world, like Mr. Guapodamus is. It's hard to look down and then not there's going to be a lot of shit coming out. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. Listen, we literally off camera we're just speaking about this, right? That there was going to be a lot of people making this excuse, that excuse, conspiracy theory. He did this.
But Canelo did not make any excuses.
No, he didn't.
No,
he didn't. Listen, Canelo was very gentlemanlike in defeat, and he took his loss. How you gotta fucking take it? He had no excuses.
Canelo is
he
a real fighter.
Gave Crawford his props,
all around, bro.
Yeah.
He's a real fighter through and through.
Yeah, he came through. He was developed properly, and props to the Reynoso team and stuff like that too, because obviously they engraved like what it means to be a true pro. And of course, the kickback to that is, that one tainted test after the between the first 2 Golovkin fights, right. Of course, then, that leaves a black eye for many. And so ever since then, there's been no issues, right? Okay, so you got to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit that, he's obviously been a clean fighter since then. And And he is a true pro. When he loses in defeat, you don't get any excuses from Canelo.
Yep.
You know, when he wins, he still gives a lot of credit to his opponent. And that was a beautiful thing about last Saturday was it was two quality fighters giving you quality boxing with like quality representation from both distinguished champs.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we don't get a lot anymore on those mainstream fights is that you forget it's a gentleman's sport.
100%. And what you said before, does Canelo lose? No. Canelo is still packing out stadiums.
Yeah.
Not one fan will be deterred from supporting the Canelo fight. So, I mean, come on, man.
And he's gonna have haters.
Always.
You know, and then when he loses, it's like I told you so. You know, and that's okay.
Or,
like
people are like, is he getting old? Did he lose a step? I heard people saying that.
You know what? Possibly.
I mean, look,
possibly
other times are defeated. So I mean, everybody's going that way.
Hey,
but
he
what
looked ready though.
But what I don't want to do.
Ready. To me, it was a strategy that wasn't correct for him in how we chose to approach Crawford. We were just talking about that. Where it was a lot of one punch. He had loading up on one punch and bam. And there was a lot of body work that he did early, but it also wasn't body work in combos. It was body work landing a big one or landing one to the side and then taking a step back. And I think the volume of punching against a guy like Crawford, you're never going to win if your volume of punching is not at a high level.
No, facts. And Jared, remember what I said to you? I like the fact that Crawford did not get the memo like, oh, I should be hurt when Canelo hits me. I should be afraid of Canelo. He didn't give him respect. He didn't do what everybody else does versus a Canelo, right? Before he even throws the punch, they've already got hit.
He went out there and earned it.
No, he earned it,
you know, and I think Canelo did respect him because there was several times in that fight where Canelo took a combination that Crawford maybe didn't even initiate the exchanges, but he finished the exchanges, and then Canelo was off balance or he was out of position to even counter, to even consider it. And I think he wasn't expecting it. Like he either underestimated Crawford's speed, or he figured to himself like, shit, I can't adjust.
Right.
You know, so I'm gonna coast through, and eventually I'm gonna get in.
Well, again, you know, the Crawford, and that's why I said with the age thing, bro. I don't want to take nothing from Crawford, bro. Crawford made Canelo look old. I can say that.
Crawford's older than Canelo.
And
so
Crawford's older.
Who's
You know what I'm
on the
saying?
age,
Yeah,
shit, like
straight
that
up, bro. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't want to take nothing from Crawford, bro.
There was some talk on the main telecast too, as Canelo's older in fight years. You know, he has more battles. He has a lot more wear and tear.
He does.
You know, and that does mean something.
That's facts.
You know, and Crawford hasn't been in those kind of wars, but yet, you know what? Crawford's a gym rat. He's always in the gym too. He's probably always sparring. You know, just because he might not be at a championship level doesn't mean that he doesn't have a lot of age in the ring either. But when it comes to pro records, Canelo's got like 20 plus more fights than Crawford does on record.
So listen, Furman, this was one of the things that I told Robert. We sat about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Lester Martinez signed into Crawford's camp. At that time, the Crawford and Canelo fight had not even been mentioned. And I told him, look, he's got a plan because he's going to chase Canelo. He told me, no, you're dumb. He's too big. There's no way that's happening, blah, blah, blah. I seen that then. He was already getting ready for the punching power up. I think he did it in a very wise decision with choosing Lester. Lester does not hit as hard as Canelo, but his volume is through the fucking roof. So I bet you if you were in on some of those sparring sessions, Lester was probably throwing 100 punches around at him at a very strong level. He got a chance to feel that, and he was like, nah, I better figure out how to adjust my style to this up here. And then his development of his game plan was perfect. I don't think he could have came in with a better game plan than what he had. It was beautifully executed. It was a beautiful fight for him in every sense of the word.
100%. We were speaking earlier, bro, about the way that you fight, too.
Yeah.
You know, if Canelo wants to go in and bang and do this, that, and the third, you're going to put miles in on your body. You know, if you box, hit, not be hit, you know what I'm saying, and not run, and fight the right way, I genuinely believe that you will have longevity in the fight, that you will be able to go, you know.
Have a longer career.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just the way that you fight, too, is a big thing.
And you know, that normally comes with maturity.
Yes, sir.
Too.
Yes, sir.
And you might have a banger here and there, maybe a couple fights in a row that are like unbelievable, and then you automatically assume the third one's going to be, equally as good.
Right.
And it never is, because, those fighters are learning from those types of, they don't want to have a lot of that wear. They don't want to, we don't know what it feels like for them to be after that 12 rounds of war, and then how much it affects them weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
The peeing of the blood, pissing of the blood, and all the soreness, and, the surgeries. It sucks. It sucks for our entertainment value.
Right.
So we were just saying.
Man.
So-
we were just saying that sometimes
Come
you
on,
have
man.
fighters that at the end of it, man, they I hate to use the word punchy. I don't like that shit.
Right,
but
right.
they do take so much damage that
They do.
that their
Yes.
cognitive level just isn't there no more.
Yeah.
And we were just saying, that's our benefit, man. We, as a fan, we go, yeah, that's the type of fighter we want.
Right.
Man, those fighters down the stretch of their life, though, like, fuck, if you're a fan, it hurts.
You know what I'm
sometimes.
saying? And props to these fighters, man. Clap it up to all them,
Yeah,
man. Those
yeah.
fighters, bro.
'Cause
And their wives, and you got to think, their wives and kids, bro.
Yes.
They see this man
Yes.
deteriorate for our entertainment, dog.
Yeah.
So,
or for their come up.
right. Right.
That might be his motivation to take care of his family.
Yes.
And he puts himself through all of that struggle, not just on fight day,
Yeah.
but everything, missing parties,
Right.
anniversaries. You go away from the family for that long. It is dedication for months
Yes, sir.
leading into one fight.
Yes, sir.
And then so for anybody to downplay what Canelo did, or anybody else that maybe doesn't even have a name like Canelo,
Speak, Jerry.
should never ever be like, I got no respect for that guy. I got no love to follow that guy because he's a boring fighter.
Right,
Or all he does is throw punches. He's a punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
Or anything towards that. If you don't step in the ring, and
That
you
part.
know, because you have,
That part.
Yeah.
you get into the ring, man, you gotta respect anybody who gets into that ring. If you haven't, then you need to,
Yeah.
and then come back and talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you let me know how that felt.
That's it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is,
Come on,
get in
man.
there, and then you'll really have
Come on, man.
more
You don't
exclusive-
play boxing, right?
That's
They say
right.
You don't play boxing.
Yeah.
And if you play and get out of my sport.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
So listen,
Yes,
here's
sir.
two interesting questions that now play out with the results of the main event.
Yes, Oscar De La Hoya is very happy with the results.
Hey, man, listen. Oscar, you can tell Oscar when having his drink and whatever VIP match
Woo!
that man
Right.
looking over the strip, bro.
This guy.
He brought that fire yesterday. Did you guys see it?
Yes, you did,
Yeah.
man. Fucking Oscar, bro.
Bro.
No, listen, the first question that pops up is, what's next for Crawford, man? You guys think he'll defend up there at 168? You think it's a one and done type of deal where he came and got in and he's gonna smash out? And if he does defend, who would you guys see
So
the
I heard
defense going
talks.
for?
I saw a little, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it was clickbait or whatnot, but it said, man, he was clapping at Charlo.
Whoa.
Ooh, I think that's perfect.
I know he was talking to Charlo after his previous fight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where he was ringside,
Yeah.
and they were kind of chirping. But yeah, I think Charlo's just trying to get back in that limelight, bro. Both Charlos need to do something consistently to, I think, warrant that fight.
Hey, the older Charlo though, I'm not gonna front, man. I think he did amazing. His last performance out, that jab, probably the best jab I've seen in boxing.
From him?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I think that matchup was well for him.
Yeah,
that matchup was well for him, and that was good for him. But yeah, the heavier Charlo was
Yes,
he
sir.
a 68 or 60? He went from 60 to 68.
60.
He fought Resendez, or I think he did, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's talks of him and Caleb Plant maybe
Oh,
in the first quarter.
To me, I think Caleb Plant's done, man. I think that he's been in too many wars with too many dudes that are beasts, and so I think that's one guy that I'm starting to see.
Yeah, I didn't like the way he
fights.
looked against who's that dude with the mullet man. Why can't I think of his name?
From here.
Yeah, he's from here. Props to him. McCumbee, there we go. I couldn't think of his name.
T-Red.
Props to him.
Yeah, no,
but I didn't like
listen,
the way.
McCumbee actually in that fight brought it.
Yes, sir.
Rob was Miss LP, shout out, but should be here, fucker. Anyway,
He's eating crow somewhere.
yeah,
Man,
he's
the big
hiding
old
right now
plate,
from
the big
having
old
to say what he said, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the things I told him in the McCumbee fight. McCumbee was actually bringing it. McCumbee was up going into the 8th round of that fight, and then Plant had to adjust, kind of make it a little bit more grimy and scrappier,
Right,
and that
right.
turned the fight for him. He was able to win. It was a nice fight. I think if you were to see a rematch, though, I actually think McCumbee has enough to then adjust and maybe approach it slightly differently and maybe even get Plant out of there.
No, I kind of agree, bro. I kind of agree. I thought there should have been a class, and he should have separated himself earlier
Yeah.
against the McCumbee, but he didn't. So I didn't like that look from him. So
I'd like to see Crawford against Hazan, man. I think that
Shiraz?
Yeah.
Really?
That dude is big.
He lanky.
He's lanky.
Yeah, bro.
He
Kind of reminds me of Kelly Pavlik lanky.
He does, yeah. You know what? I haven't even
With a
thought
pop.
about that. But yeah.
With a pop.
Yeah, man. Hey, see, I was thinking Chad Dawson. A little bit more pop.
Yeah, 68.
Okay.
Chad Dawson is 68. Man, that dude was hit like a mule, bro.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Player, man. So
I went to him and Bernard Hopkins at light heavyweight.
Okay.
At the Staples Center when it was still the Staples Center. And Mr. LP went with me, and in that first fight, I think it was, there was somebody on that undercard that was a banger. It was Jorge Linares.
Okay.
yeah.
And DeMarco, Antonio DeMarco.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that fight stole the night because the Chad Dawson Bernard Hopkins was kind of a snoozer. You know, you had a classic heavy-handed fisted boxer versus a defensive-minded
Versus the
Yep. Well, I think he might have still been B-Hop then.
Was he still B-Hop?
He might have still been
The
B-Hop.
executioner?
He could have been.
Okay.
He could have been. Yeah.
He might have still
yeah.
been. Yeah.
But he very similar body style. Shiraz and maybe Chad Dawson, but I like Kelly Pavlik a little bit more, maybe because
You said Kelly Pavlik.
I was a
like that,
Kelly
man.
Pavlik fan, bro.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
for sure.
a little side story on that because we specialize little nuggets, right? We were in Vegas and got a chance to meet Kelly Pavlik.
Are you
super cool?
We were down there for the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight week. If that was it.
And now look. I can gladly now say that I've been down there enough nights where it's like
You can't even remember anymore.
which one it was.
But we were at the Ryan Garcia fight the night before. I think he was headlining a smaller card,
Okay.
and we were at that fight. We were ringside for that fight, and of course everybody's around there. But yeah, this is that night, and Kelly Pavlik, man, super cool dude. I think he does a podcast too.
We were chilling doing nothing. We're nobody's in this game, you know what I mean? And he literally walked over to us and put his hands like this.
Oh, that's fire,
Like,
man.
what's up?
Now,
Yeah.
knowing a little bit of his backstory, the way he came up, man, and
Yeah,
just
man.
his
Shout to Youngstown, Ohio.
You know what I'm saying? Come on,
Yeah.
let's go. Just that blue collar,
Blue
work,
collar.
yes sir, work ethic, man, and just seemed like a really down to earth dude overall. So to hear you guys say that, man, that's
A super cool dude.
He is.
Super cool dude.
He is,
And
man.
That's hard.
For me, these guys have been able to go on a lot more fights than I ever did, right? They've experienced the boxing game a little bit more closer, a little bit more intimate
sir.
than I've ever been able to. Going out there to Vegas that day, though, holy shit, man. I was so embraced by the boxing community. And like I said, we're literally nobodies, right? But we're sitting ringside, so we're getting a chance to mingle with some people. And we're just talking about the fight going on. When he comes over, he starts talking. Hey, all of a sudden, I'm looking up, and it's Kelly Pavlik. Hey, the dude's actually really big. Yeah, I know he didn't fight at such a huge weight. Like,
He was probably-
goes 250 now, man.
Oh.
Yeah, he was at heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
did he carry the weight well?
Yes.
Oh,
He did.
Okay.
He
I
did.
can see
He
that.
did, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, when I
Yeah, I
looked
can see
over, I
that.
was like, holy shit, bro, you could probably, beat my ass twice and leave me asleep in the corner, man. You know what I mean?
You got to get inside of his punches.
Yeah.
You don't want him. You don't want to get on that extension of that man.
So you talk about a little rabbit trail. Not to go too far, but didn't Benavidez say that he sparred with Kelly Pavlik?
He did.
coming up?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now trip out on this. I can see a lot of Kelly Pavlik, bro, in Benavidez. Think about
You know what?
think about it, bro.
I guarantee you, we talked to David and we asked him. He probably enjoyed those sparring sessions
Oh,
with
I know
Kelly
he did.
Pavlik, only because I think Kelly Pavlik's a type where he's not going to let his ego check him at the door if David was getting the best of him. You know,
Was really
I,
schooling the young man.
you know, I'm trying to think. I think it might have been when Kelly Pavlik was over with Robert Garcia, when David went over there to spar.
Okay.
And I think it was the corner that told him, you know what, hey, this is too much, too soon, or they didn't expect it to be that much of an exchange. And I think it was the corners who called that off. But David was willing to put rounds in with anybody at that point.
Yeah.
He just wanted to see where he fared. And some of these
He
pros,
got a chance to put
and
it
the-
rounds up.
and the-
Right.
Next level
and the,
fucking
yeah,
fighters, right?
yeah, he did. And the corners of the pros were the ones that were pulling the plug. Like, hey, you know what?
Back.
Enough is enough, kind
I
of
think
thing.
David was like 14 or 15 when
Oh,
he
yeah,
got a chance to spar Triple G, wasn't it? Like,
Something like that too.
imagine
He's
that,
a bad
man.
man.
And Beeble.
Imagine you're a teenager,
Yeah.
bro. You got Triple
Yeah.
G in front of you.
That's why. Hey, that's why if you see his swagger, we talked about
Yeah.
the psychology of the fight. You can't tell that man nothing, bro.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you gonna tell me, dog?
Listen,
Someone tell me.
elephant in the room.
Yes, sir.
Is Benavidez too big now to make 168 and
Yes,
come down and fight Crawford?
he is, and that's one thing I was just going to bring up was, unfortunately, if David could have looked into the crystal ball and foresaw what would have happened last weekend, then he probably would have stayed at 68.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, after a while, when you chase that new hotness and she's teasing you and she's just not giving you any time,
Hey.
you gonna go somewhere else eventually.
Hey, this is game.
Okay?
Jerry,
You is.
Jerry's speaking from experience.
You know what I mean? Like, hey,
He went from the one with the C cup, and he said he saw the D cup and was like, I gotta go that way now.
hey, but there ain't nothing wrong with the C cups either.
It's
But
not, man.
but
Sometimes when there's more of those C cups, it might be a better adventure. You feel me? I'm just saying.
I know you took it to a whole other level. But the whole
People
reason
watching
being
know what's
is,
up, I think we just lost some
if
viewers.
it ain't mutual,
Yeah.
then eventually it's better off that everybody goes their own way, right? So Canelo always gonna do his thing, and David learned and realized, I'm gonna go and do my thing. I don't need Canelo to be
He
successful.
never needed Canelo from the first
Yeah.
place, man. That was my whole point. You know what I mean? Now that was the question, right? With Beterbiev now lingering up there, but he's on the undercard of Benavidez' fight. Now, mind you, Benavidez should focus straight up on Anthony Yard.
Yes.
Excellent fighter. So that's gonna be an amazing fight as it is. But
Right.
now you have a monster sitting in your path now. Man, that's an amazing fight within itself too. You want me to tell you my only knock on that fight?
Go
They
ahead.
haven't built it enough, bro. David's been up there, but David he hasn't been the killer up there that he was at 168. I think if they let him have 2-3 more fights, maybe not against such high names, because he's going straight to the top dudes.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Give him a couple B-rated dudes, give him a couple C-rated dudes, let him eat those dudes up, and man, now you have a $100 million fight with Beterbiev. But there's no time. Beterbiev's on the clock now. He's almost 40
Yeah.
or something.
But-
like that, right? Yeah.
Hey, you look at the history of high level quality boxing. When you get to that high level, and you're talking about like the elite, okay? I'm not talking about like you're good and you're on the cusp of being great, but I'm talking about above that, the elite level. You don't get a lot of killers at that stage. You just
Yeah.
don't.
You don't.
You know, and there's reason for that. Because the talent at that level, you don't really get masterclass knockouts.
Yeah.
You get them at the smaller level as you're coming up, and that's what builds you, right? And then you don't fall in love with that one punch power when you become elite.
So now let me play devil's advocate on what you just said, which I agree with to a point. In this era now, from what we've seen in boxing, do you feel that way genuinely, or is it because we just have not seen the best matched up against the best like we are used to, kind of coming up, right? You could see, you know what I'm saying? You could see killers fighting killers at the time they should. Maybe because people didn't have in their head like, oh, let's hold out and this will be a bigger fight then.
There's
you feel what I'm saying?
There's two things to that.
Okay.
When we were younger, most definitely you saw someone like in the 80s, right? You saw Hagler fight Hearns, you saw Leonard fight Duran, you saw Duran fight. You saw
Well,
them all
even
fight each other, right?
even in the 90s.
The top dude.
Yeah.
You did see it in the 90s, maybe not to as high of a level because there were so many
Sure.
killers in the 80s, you know what I mean? But you did still see it, right? Now, we had Rambling Ralph in here a couple weeks ago.
My dude.
He had a slightly different aspect on that same topic we're dealing with now. He said that he actually feels like with Turkey coming in,
Yes,
some of
sir.
those fights that were allowed to build and become bigger fights, even though you're getting a chance to now see the matchups going, okay, I wanted to see this guy against this guy, those dream matchups happen, he doesn't feel that there's enough build-up to it now. It's almost like, okay, we're taking this dude, let's do it. But those build-ups that would take a year or two of them chasing each other, and then you finally get it, and it's like an excellent fight because they've been chasing each other,
Right.
that's not going to happen anymore because
Right.
now you're able to see it, and you're not building up the rest of it. He's like, as a fan, sure, but you're going to get, let's say, 10 amazing fights that you want to see, but you won't get that other 100 fights that were going to be all good fights that you could do in the build-up to get to these 10 amazing fights.
I think that's
I can see that.
I think that's matchmaking.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I think that's matchmaking.
When I looked at that,
fair.
it made sense to me because I was like,
That's
oh
fair.
man, I can think of how many times on an undercard I saw an A+ fighter who maybe wasn't fighting another A+ fighter,
Right.
but he was still at least able to showcase himself. And then on the next fight, you had another dude in that same weight class who was also, executing somebody at that point, and then to be like, oh man, I'd like to see that. Next fight, same shit. You're like, oh, I'd really like to see that. Maybe you see that 2-3 more times. All of a sudden, it becomes where I really want to see that. I'll pay to see that. And that's where I think, I think if they can keep building stuff up, like I'll tell you now, Canelo and Benavidez when we first started talking about it, it was more for insiders. It was the insiders who were listening. The people who were not insiders were going, "Who's David?"
Right.
It sucks to say it that way because we're from here, but that was nationally how they were viewing him. They didn't know who he was. He wasn't selling out his own main event yet. So,
but they know who he is now.
They know who he is now. And that was one of the things that we talked about. I told him, look, if you let that shit marinate, then you're talking about Canelo getting his $100 million for it, and David also getting 50 for it. Now, man, it all depends on what Canelo does going forward. Because there still may be a fight between them. They're still looming if you still let it build up, depending on how it all plays out. Boxing's weird in that way.
If Canelo was smart, you take this young, hungry lion when he's a young, hungry lion.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's that young anymore.
No. At this point now, bro.
No, you get them early. Like Mayweather schooled him.
This version of Canelo would get beat up badly. By David. Now, that's also us assuming that this strategy would be the same strategy applied to fighting David than you would be Crawford. They're completely different styles.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't think Canelo would walk in there with the same mentality or the same approach. I think he'd probably come in there with a more of approach like when he fought Triple G the first time, which was, okay, I'm going to absorb some of this shit, but then I'm going to move, and I got to get backing up, and I got to counter, and I got to beat him in volume too.
Right.
And I think if he does that, he would have a 50-50 split with David into that fight. If he doesn't do that, there's no volume. It's a done deal, bro. David will run through him, bro. It'd be interesting. It's going to be interesting, especially for everybody at home, to see how it plays out. It is boxing, so that's the beauty of it. We have a whole 4 months to go in this year just to see what happens there. You know what I mean?
You never say never in this sport.
No, facts.
You know, Canelo has 2 more fights with Riyadh season, so it will be interesting to see. So,
see what the third one. I want to see what they're going to have as his bounce back. We were just talking about it. I mean, there's been hint at maybe a rematch directly with Crawford. I personally, I don't think. I think you have a hard time selling it, first off. It was that one-sided of a fight. It wasn't like he completely dominated him to the point where he was like, you have 0 chance again. No, like we said, Canelo won some rounds, but it was one-sided enough to where you have to see multiple things change for the outcome to change, right? Bro, it wasn't like we say, okay, well, if he would have dropped him 1 time, then the outcome. No, like he would have had to drop him 3 times in order to make it a draw type of deal.
Right.
So we'll see how it plays out.
You know what I think what they should probably do if they do a rematch, and just hear me out. If they do a rematch, and then depending on after I get done pitching what I think would be smart, and it's going to work out well for everybody, networks included, and the fans, more specifically.
Okay.
But yes, we're not clamoring for a rematch because it wasn't that great. It was a very solid chess match, right? One guy won, one guy lost. It was clear by unanimous decision by everybody except one person that I know about. But anyhow, he's oblivious. Everybody else got it right.
Yeah.
They do a rematch in May. And it's going to be on a big streaming platform again. But you load it with other people in that same weight class.
I agree, man.
Because then you build an opponent for the winner.
Yeah.
Crawford doesn't have an opponent right now.
Yep.
Okay? You should have had an opponent made on that undercard if they were available.
Wait.
Okay.
The opponent was there, but a certain Guatemalan monster changed the plans for who
he's not ready yet.
To be.
But he will be soon.
But he definitely threw a speed bump into what the plan was supposed to be. Because Billy was supposed to be the next one up for Crawford. As
big ups to Guatemala, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's go. Did your thing, man.
He did.
That was a beautiful fight.
Bro.
Put a pin in that.
It's
best fight of the night, for sure.
That's actually why when he says that about building up an event where you could have several fights at the same weight class, there's enough fighters up there at 168. Man, that's a beautiful.
You know what, Jerry, bro? I feel like there should have been some Ocean's 11 music playing in the background as you were putting that together, bro. It was well crafted, man. I didn't think you were gonna.
I didn't even get to the best part yet.
Okay.
Because Canelo's value now goes down a little bit. Am I right?
Right.
Crawford's goes up a little bit.
Yeah.
But for a rematch, Canelo's still gonna make more, but he ain't gonna make what he made for the first fight. You got to build that back up. But is he still the A side? Yes, because of what he brings to the table. But Crawford, his name's gonna be first. Right. Crawford will get introduced last because he deserves it. He's the champ. But there's more money to go around than is what I'm getting at. If the numbers are available and those numbers, that pot that was for this first fight, you can add another big name or another high caliber fight as a co-main event.
Right.
And you help build that fighter. Not just, or if he's matched up so well, it could be his opponent. Put David Benavidez on the co-main event under Canelo Crawford 2 rematch and tell me that won't do better numbers than that first Canelo Crawford fight.
Hey, listen, if we're talking about Cinco de Mayo,
yes,
put in David Benavidez against him, Billy, and then make him be the fucking mandatory for the winner anyway.
Well, man, Billy's fighting at 68, and now you're forcing David to go down to a weight that he's not participating in anymore. You put him in with Beterbiev or Bivol as that co-main event, and they're going to get paid handsomely for it, right?
My only thing would be, what if David loses and then you end up in a...
Then he loses.
Yeah.
Kudos, because he's fighting a damn good fighter. But the thing is David and Canelo are probably not going to fight at any of the advantaged weight for either one of them. There's going to have to be some leeway. We're probably talking a damn catch weight.
Yeah.
Is it going to be immediately next? But you got to start, like, people want to see them on the same fight card. At least so you could build up to some potential happening. And if they don't, they were on the same fight card.
Yeah, at least talks, man.
They're going to be in the same room. Imagine selling that fight week, and you get all them fighters in that room, and you know there's going to be questions aiming at each of them, and they're all both going to go back and forth.
Fire. All right,
it'll be good.
Hey, Jerry, since he's swagging on right now, so what do you call it?
What do you call that night? Man, well, you know it's going to be promoted by the Turk, so he's going to come up with something that's already been used before, because he be piggybacking off of all kinds.
That's Thanksgiving Day, bro. It's turkey's the main fucking attraction for Thanksgiving. He's putting it out. That's his day. Thanksgiving Day, bro. Thanksgiving Day boxing.
Okay.
But back to the boxing fans, man. It'd be interesting. How many fights you think could be made on a card like that that would be like all like main event style fights, bro? Especially if you're throwing in people at 168, 175. Bro, there's enough fights there.
It's turkey. Stuff that turkey.
Yeah. I like
load
that,
it up.
So far it tastes good, bro. So I mean, hey, as comfortable he gets into the game, bigger the pot. You know, enough plates for everybody.
Yeah, I like that.
But I think the matchmaking just needs to improve. You know, throw Shiraz on that card too. You know, put him against somebody.
How do you think Dana did, man? Dana White was...
Bro.
It was interesting.
He did not look like... He only got there for the main event, first of all. All right? Yeah. And then he did not look like in tune into the fight. A couple of times they panned over and he was on his cell phone looking at probably whatever it was probably a press conference for a UFC fight card or something like that.
Think Dana is
he does not need to be the face.
Is he good for boxing? If you're asking for the fighters, no, and the fighters would make so much less money. They showed a graphic that said Canelo made $100 million for the fight, right? Just out of salary, not counting all the extra shit. Probably 150 by the time you get to the end of it.
Okay.
$100 million for the fight. The UFC roster made under $100 million
for the whole year. And Canelo made more than what they've made in one night, 36 minutes, bro.
Wow.
And the whole roster, the UFC for up to the whole year.
I think in some ways what you have is that you do have bigger fights that happen faster in UFC, right? So if a dude gains momentum and wins 2 fights, 3 fights in a row, he's hot, so you make that fight happen.
Sure.
What you don't have, though, is these big mega super fights where you have a dude who's dominated. Let's say he's dominated at 140, and then you have the dude who's dominated at 147, and they've done it for years, and they're going to come together. That kind of shit you don't get in UFC, man.
Right.
And the records are displays that. Who do you really have that's got that kind of elite record? Shit, if you're 25-5 in MMA, you're an elite level dude. If you're 25-5 in boxing, you're a journeyman.
So see, I don't know that much about UFC, so we won't go there like that. But they don't have. Are you telling me that there's like when you had your St. Pierre's and your Silvas and your what I'm saying? Do they still have those people, like those standouts?
They still have John Jones is still
John Jones
who's at the top, you know what I mean? And you do it's become you have a lot of Eastern European dudes that are up in there right now who dominate with a whole, like, you would necessarily say it's fan friendly.
Okay.
So for that reason, it kind of went a particular way. When Khabib was in there a couple years ago,
Khabib.
His style was dominant, but it wasn't necessarily fan friendly. So
kind of like a Klitschko.
Yeah, kind of like, in a lot of ways, kind of like Klitschko, right? Klitschko came in there, he mopped up the division.
Yeah.
He just did it with a style that wasn't necessarily the most fan-friendly thing. Right. So I think you have a lot of that takes place within MMA, right? Every once in a while, you have somebody who springs up, who's really golden, and then you're able to make tons of money. I don't think, in that sense, it's too much different from boxing. In boxing, you definitely have those guys that spring up every once in a while who can make you all sorts of money. Then in boxing, I think that's the one slight difference in boxing and from MMA. In boxing, you also have those golden boy type of dudes that don't necessarily fight elite level. Apologies because I don't want him to whip my ass when I see him. Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, to me, pops, and he can fight, but he's not, to me, in any weight division in those 140,
he's not
147.
That special fighter.
He's not top 5 in any of those divisions.
I agree.
But he makes
big respect though.
But he makes all sorts of money, and he's probably highest paid fighter in those weight classes right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's where you kind of deviate a little bit more in boxing, where it gives you a little bit more chance to build up popularity when you may not necessarily be that elite to that level. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Dana White in boxing and the faction that he's involved in, they picked the worst fight to throw him in the water, the deep end, but with sharks. So of course they were going to nitpick everything that he did wrong or everything. He brought too much of the UFC kind of mentality into that fight. They had that the ring announcer, not the ring announcer, excuse me, the commentator guy that does UFC fights for this fight, and
personally I don't like that dude. Doing the boxing one.
Yeah,
boxing's more elegant.
Are you trying to tell me you couldn't get Jim Lampley? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Ralph,
come on,
Ralph.
to do the announcing, yeah, absolutely. But they had Max in there, so they had Andre Ward, and it was LaShawn McCoy, really? Like, come on, no disrespect to LaShawn McCoy, he's a hell of an athlete, but we're talking boxing.
Yeah, it didn't fit.
So I mean, Chris Algieri's are out there. You got all kinds of good, announcers out there that could have fit in. Shout out to Christina Poncher. There should have been more women involved with that event too. That held their own.
I can't disagree with that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But Dana White, right now, if you asked me, do I believe that he belongs in boxing? He did not show me enough that I think he even knows enough about the current state of boxing. He doesn't even know the fighters. He doesn't know their background story.
That's a problem.
He doesn't. He didn't bring any of those fighters up.
Yeah.
Turkey handed this fight to him, and he was like, "You're the face."
Do you think it's just a shot in a wall and seeing if he sticks?
Well, of course it was gonna stick, bro. It was Canelo Crawford. It was on Netflix.
I don't necessarily know if it did stick, though. We were just talking about that. It did humongous numbers, but it also.
But is it gonna leave a stain after you remove it?
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
So yeah, bro, I'm just saying, man. I mean,
Bars.
Everybody's getting into boxing these days, and there's all kinds of quality boxing out there, and there's all kinds of shit show events being put out there, and they're tagging boxing on it, and it makes boxing look really bad because that's not real boxing. Last week and I think it could have been better.
Right.
It could have been better. The outcome was fine. I'm not knocking that. And I mean, Billy Martinez fight. My God,
crazy, bro.
Bro, that should have been the main. That should have been the co-main event, leading into that main event. But it could have been better.
Why was it 10 rounds, bro?
Seriously,
I honestly think that if Lester had one more round,
I thought it was a title eliminator, and title eliminator should be 12 rounders.
12 rounds.
Right.
Something went on there.
You know what? It wasn't even title eliminator. It's the interim title that they were fighting for. So it was your IBF interim title.
They were actually fighting.
They were actually because
was it a minor?
And Billy's not. He's not the like next in line. Like he's not the mandatory fighter.
Right.
He's the what do they have that where it's the regular champ and then the super champ or whatever the fuck it was. He had the minor belt of that, so it was a world title.
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. There must have been some kind of fine line there. And again, that's boxing politics, bro. Another thing.
It was a draw, though.
It was a wonderfully fought fight.
wanna see it again.
It was a banger.
I wanna
It
see
was-
it again.
I told
Happy
you,
with
bro,
the drop.
I don't think it happens, bro. I don't think they would stick
Really?
Billy in there with him again. They thought that Lester was gonna be so unpolished that Billy was gonna run him over.
They didn't think it was gonna be tough. Yeah.
No, they thought he's gonna run him over. It's just gonna be on display.
Well-
Lester's undefeated record is gonna be it's gonna be the poster boy for getting knocked out by Billy.
Right,
and
right.
now we can fight Crawford, and Crawford's his stablemate. So now Crawford can go. All right, they can sell that fight. That's how I thought they were angling it.
Sure.
I think that Lester
Lester
kind
didn't
of
get the memo?
He didn't get that
He
memo at
didn't
all,
get the
man.
memo?
He didn't get that memo at all, and
You know
he's
what?
tough as fucking nails, man. Hey, listen, I'm a fan of Lester going into this beforehand.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he could take way
Yeah.
better of a punch than I ever
Yes, he
even
can.
realized he could take, man.
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Well, and his punch selection.
Yeah.
Dude's that big, man. He was throwing. He gave you a lot of different looks. Did a lot of subtle things. Was rolling with a lot of Billy shots.
Yeah.
You know,
The weird part is a lot of people were commenting on how aggressive Billy was. And mind you, he made Lester go backwards. But Lester was having a fight going backwards.
Sure.
But he was fighting going backwards.
He
with
didn't
power.
mind it. Yeah.
Yes.
He didn't mind it.
It wasn't like he was just, I'm giving it up now. Fuck no. He was making
No,
him earn
he was
every
a
single
big
inch of
dude
that.
throwing short shots on the inside.
Yeah.
That's why I like he never looked like he was outclassed at any time, even with Billy's aggression.
Not even this, that I had told them about the financial side of this shit, with him being Guatemalan, how much Guatemalans actually support Guatemalans out there. They were showing videos of Guatemalans that waited for 4 hours after the event to shake Lester's hand on his way out. And we're talking about a crowd of like 400, 500 Guatemalans that waited for 4 to 5 hours. And he's such a fighter for the people that Guatemalans in the Spanish dialect have almost a very rustic. It's similar in the United States to when you deal with people from down south, when they have that drawl and that twang in their talk. And it's sometimes a little bit hard to understand if you're not from that region, but it's almost a little bit rough or a little bit more not as refined with the way of speaking. He's a man of the people because the moment he came out there, he starts speaking full Guatemalan fucking lingo and the fucking crowd goes nuts, right? That's just a little bit of extra nugget for him. Every single person that waited around for those 4 hours felt personal at that moment. And I think that's what he's able to do. And I think there's a humongous market for it. I actually think that now Turkey has to look at him now going forward and go, oh shit, maybe I can sell him in some bigger fights. And maybe they do protect him a little bit more and not throw him with him. Because to be honest, he was the sacrificial lamb for him, Billy.
Right.
Like, should he have really been there? I don't know, but it's boxing, so you're given a chance. So you gotta make
smart money
the best
would,
of it,
bro.
right?
Why would you not back what you saw that night?
Yeah.
Why would you not?
Especially for those people that saw him work with Crawford, especially if he's been working with Crawford. We were talking that his first coach was actually Nacho Beristain, who was a Hall of Famer from Mexico, and then he gets a chance now to work with Bomac. And man, excellent. You see his skill level starting to come up, and it's one of those years where it's the fans win. You got nothing but big fights now. Literally, he had a draw. And now you can throw him in with anybody at 168 and go, damn, we're going to get a banger.
Yes,
and
sir.
Expect a banger when you see it. So it's like, fuck, man. As a Guatemalan, I couldn't be prouder, man. I could have been prouder. I could have been, not prouder. I could have been happier if he would have gotten just the W, just so that I could have celebrated the W, because it was a rough weekend for me, sports-wise, you know what I mean? But having said that, the way he handled himself and the way he brought that fight of the year, I haven't seen another fight that's above that fight right now. Currently speaking, so I thought he handled himself great. I can't wait to see what's coming up with him.
Man, and you see what boxing does for the people, bro. You said Guatemala, man, and I saw you just light up, bro.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, straight up, bro.
I'm enjoying seeing your energy because
you know what I'm saying. Like you can see it, like somebody just do.
Hey,
You know
he knows, bro. So listen,
Yeah.
I actually reached out, and Lester actually comes back to me. We've actually exchanged a few words here and there.
Whoa.
I'm sure seeing that another Guatemalan doing some shit, talking about boxing and doing some other things. There can't be too many of us, so that's actually pretty cool within itself too. You know.
You know what? Give a shout out right now to Guatemala in your native tongue, bro.
Guatemala.
In the
Raza ya ahorita. Hey, órale. Yeah. Listen, we're winding down here, y'all. I'm gonna give you guys a chance real quick. Look, believe it or not, we are approaching 45 minutes on this episode. Everybody at home watching, man, that's a wonderful thing that you've stuck it out with us. Obviously, we've been entertaining enough to keep it going for 45 minutes. But we're going to give my man Jerry a chance to give his sign-offs, and then we're going to give my man Furman a chance to sign off, too. Go ahead, my man.
Hey, shout out to all the fighters on the fight card last week. It was a great event. to Bomac, Brian, McIntyre, and the whole B&B Crawford team out there, man. Salute to you guys. You guys made a lot of believers in your, not just your abilities, but you won some people some money. So and you made a lot of new fans. So that's what's up, man. That's what you want to do in that sport. So kudos to everybody involved with that event. Shout out to Lester Martinez, man, and Mbili. Those guys are tough. And if Mbili wants to keep that number 1 ranking in the WBC, they ordered it. They ordered the rematch this week too. So if he doesn't, then if he does it, I'm sure Lester would. So hopefully Lester stays around Crawford as long as he can. And you know what? There's the Latino trainer that's in the Crawford team.
Yeah, bro. I was gonna say
he's been there for a long time too. He's been there for a really long time, and he's under the radar. Yeah. But that dude, I can't remember what his name is, and we're gonna remember it next time we come back on air. But shout out to that Vato, because he helped out Lester Martinez in that fight. He was like his chief second right there.
So listen, the chief second working the Crawford corner on Saturday night was actually Guatemalan. And he's the first Guatemalan to ever participate in a world title fight. It was actually made national news, and it was all over the news. So that was actually a cool thing. That there was a lot of images that were floated that were said, hey, you know, and it was Crawford celebrating with him with the titles. And then there was pictures of Crawford with Lester afterwards celebrating and embracing too. It was such a wonderful thing, man. It's pretty cool to see fighters who are at that elite level like Crawford, who are still willing to still give a little something back for a fighter who hasn't really done anything to that level yet, but that you could see is putting in that grind, man. And it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not done. I ain't done. I still got lots more. Here we go. But yeah, Canelo's not done. You know, he's not washed up. Right. Yes, he's got some years in him, 20 years as a professional boxer, and that's a lot of wear and tear, whether you've been in a lot of wars or you haven't. And he needs to take some time off. Is he going to come back in May? I don't know. Maybe. If he doesn't, then he deserves to take some time off. But then you got to start considering ring rust at that age. But he deserves it. If this is the last time we see Canelo, you know, it was the most packed house event in U.S. and I don't know how long. I mean, 30 years.
I'm a Raiders fan. The Raiders Stadium broke all attendance records.
70,000 plus. I mean, that was awesome. That was great. And then as far as
Raider fan, man.
Let's get to something more important here. As far as Crawford, man, and what he gets next, we'll see. Like, we'll really see. The world is his oyster right now. He wants a vacation too, I'm sure, for a long time. But there's got to be something that's out there.
I hope he doesn't take a year off. I hope in Cinco de Mayo he's fighting again, bro.
He needs to. You know, he needs to maximize on that success. Yeah. Because he's not going to stay at that level that long. He's 38 years old. So
no, it is what it is. A father time still undefeated, man. Everybody gets caught eventually.
But this is the 4Level Boxing Podcast, so we got DAZN fights, Golden Boy fights tomorrow on DAZN, headlined by the lightweight class multi-belt champion and ring title holder Oscar Collazo from Puerto Rico, and he's fighting a banger down there at the Fantasy Springs in Coachella area, and he's headlining. But then the undisputed Gabriela Fundora. She's the co-headliner.
The Lady Inferno.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. And she's defending all her belts.
Hey, listen.
Tomorrow night.
We were just saying about Kelly Pavlik having been super cool, man. The Fundora,
the family.
Oh, you can see it, bro.
My goodness,
you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
you can see it.
We went out there, bro, and both Inferno and his sister, literally, we're right there, and all of a sudden they come and they're sitting there talking to us, right? And Rob can be a little bit aggressive, so you know that he sometimes scares away people. He didn't, man. Inferno was loving it. And when I walked up there, and I'm like, hey, bro, and he's like, you tell me what you need on your soundbite. I got you. Damn. I was like, holy shit, this fool's cool. He gives me the soundbite, then we go back, and then like 10 minutes later, he actually swings by to where we're back again. He goes, so I got you, that was good, no, cool. Shook our hands, kept going, man. That day, both Inferno and Richard Torres both were super cool in Vegas, man. Both gave us really cool shout-outs, man.
That's
I
what's
love
up.
that, bro.
Yeah, hey,
I
real
love
recognizes real.
Yes, indeed.
So when you run into the 4 Level Boxing team at any event, come up and talk to us, and we would love to talk to you too. If we recognize you, and you don't want to break the ice or whatever, just throw your hands up or whatever. We are down to earth dudes. We're obviously.
I accept the beer everywhere I go.
Right. Mm-hmm. That part. So make sure you get 2 because there's going to be another 4 Level Boxing member pulling up right there to one of our sides. So we all thirsty. But no, reach out to us because we love talking to everybody, and then we obviously love talking to all the athletes out there too, and provide some little nuggets here on the 4 Level Boxing podcast. But yes,
definitely.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. As always, our appreciation goes a long way. Thank you to Ikon Radio and the RTU studio. My dog Furman, close us up, dog.
Man, so little story, bro. I remember when I first met this man, Mr. Guapodamus. Just a blessing, bro. We were sitting on the couch and we were talking about things to come as far as this podcast, and to see it start from the ground up and to where it is now, man, it is just a blessing and a half. I just want to say,
Thank you, boss.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a beautiful thing to see when people get to step into things that they are passionate about. For the Love of Boxing is passionate. You hear maybe biased, but you hear some real boxing talk. You know what I'm saying? So I just have to say, Jesus is king. If anybody who knows me, they know what's up, man. Jesus is king. I gotta throw that out there, man. And dude. To Shakur, if you happen to hear this at all, I know you don't have a name. What do you think about this? Shakur Dr. Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of
surgeon.
That's kind of, bro.
I like that, man.
You know what I'm saying, bro? They miss, he connects, then dissects. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Dr. Stevenson. Anywho, bro. Yeah. Y'all be safe, man. Love the one you with. Stay
That could be an entrance music.
You know what I mean?
Take it, have it pop like and the doctor's calling Dr. Stevenson.
You know, Dr. Stevenson.
Aging Dr. Stevenson.
I got all types of stuff going on in my head. Come out with the smock on and everything, bro. If you want to get brutal with it, you got blood on your thing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Yeah, man.
We could even produce some of his merchandise,
Bro,
for Level Boxing.
Come on,
Holla,
Jerry.
holla.
Come on, Jerry. I draw too. Anywho. Love the one you with, man. Be content until God changes your situation. Stay encouraged, man, and just Jerry, I think you put a very good hat on it about that evening, man. It was a blessing to see, man. Netflix, people don't understand the treat if you missed it that you have. Netflix, I believe you can still go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. Go back and watch it, man. Go back and watch it. And I just want to leave off with what we were talking about with the fighters, man. Hey, thank you. You know what I'm saying? We selfishly take in what you do. You put your life on the line, man. People have died in that ring. It's not a joke. And me as a real fan, bro, I appreciate what y'all do tremendously, man. So keep doing it. Stay encouraged. Go hard. And let's push the sport forward.
Sir?
Yeah, most definitely, man. That's for me. I don't even have a particular shout out this week. I'm just shouting out every single boxing fan, because without y'all, we wouldn't even have this platform to really do it in. And even the fighters that they give so much and put their lives on the line like that, they wouldn't have an audience to do it in front of either. You know what I mean? So they give it and continue to support boxing, continue to support everything about this fight game. It's a sweet science. We love to do it. We'll continue to cover it for you. Everybody tapping in this Friday, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging on or seeing this full broadcast tonight. We'll see you guys next Friday, next week. Look, we tapping in. 4 Love of Boxing exclusively for you. Jerry, Furman, we out.